Hey everybody, it's Scoop Phase. We're still here, apparently. Um, I haven't uploaded in a while, but I've been messing around with snakes. I really wish they were still called Abyss, but they're not. They're called Ogdoadic or something now. But this is Invoked Ogdoadic, but it's a little different than certain ones. Because there's a certain combo you can do with wonderful Bishbaalkin and a whole bunch of stuff. And basically, if you open Aleister plus either Snake Rain or the light one, Nunu, you end on Mechaba, Dragoon Verte, the King, the Ogdoadic King there, and you've ripped 2 cards out of their hands thanks to these 2 guys. And you have a completely loaded graveyard. I think you still have like 2 or 3 cards left in your hand. And yeah, and you have you have the follow up of Aleister. You actually make a fire monster so Purgatrio can attack them. The only downside is they have like 2 to 3 tokens sitting on their side of the field. But that's okay. We'll work with that. So here's the deck. It's pretty much just, if you've seen the Ogdoadic stuff, this is pretty much normal stuff. It's just we threw in, the only thing that's really different because of this whole combo is the Brotar and the Masked Chameleon. Everything else is actually pretty usual, what you'll see in a Ogdoadic deck. You might not see Diabolos all the time, but sometimes you do. And then the extra deck's really weird, so everything's really, really important, so we can't play Prosperity in this, which I know a lot of the Invoked Ogdoadics play Prosperity. We can't really get away with that, because even on a good combo, we'll only have like 2, maybe 3 cards in our extra deck, not even guaranteed there, so we pretty much need at least 13 of our extra deck monsters each time. But anyways, here it is. We got the Dragoon package. We have Frames because we want Snake Rain to go off. We have the Ogdoadic Overlord. You could probably cut this guy, but I like him. Also, it comes up where it's very important. If you open Nunu and like nothing else, you need at least Nunu plus a reptile to discard that's not himself. So sometimes it's good just to have a bunch of different named reptiles. So like Nunu plus him plus no other cards equals almost the full combo, just minus the invoked part. So that's actually important to note. And then we have Darkest Diabolos and Levineer. You search Levineer off the Brotar, and then you summon the Diabolos out of deck off of tributing the spheres. And then Diabolos contribute Dark Monster, and you make your opponent put 1 card from their hand either on the top or bottom of their deck. So they can choose to put it on the top, which means they'll just draw it again, but that also means they're not drawing whatever they were going to draw anyways. Plus, you also do this before you Levineer, so they put it on the top, and then Levineer shuffles a random one back in, so they're really not placing it on the top. And then he can't be targeted or tributed, which is pretty nice. And then whenever a dark monster is tributed, he can summon himself back from the graveyard, which we can do that in more of a grind game, which is really nice. And he's a 3,000 beat stick. So next we have Chaos Dragon Levineer, one of my favorite cards of all time. You can use both if you banish light and dark to going second to destroy cards, which is nice. Or if you want to destroy the tokens, you give them off Bishbaalkin. We usually do the dark one because we just banish the guard dragons, and I usually do just the Bishbaalkin to rip a card out of their hand, so that's 2. But you can actually even do the banish 3 in this deck very easily because you're playing a lot of light monsters also, especially when you look in your extra deck with like the spheres and the protector whelp. So you actually have that option, which is really nice. And then next we have the king, the Ogdoadic King. I didn't want to play the king and the queen, and I felt like the queen's a little worse for this deck because we're already ripping 2 cards out of their hand, and then there's like a Dark Law-like effect already on the field, so we could potentially get another card out of their hand, which is really nice. And the more cards you take away from them, the less likely they are to beat Mechaba Dragoon. So that's the thinking behind that. And then it's actually very important that he tributes too, because you usually use both. You usually use Alret and Cruz during the combo before you make the spheres. So it's good to have something that can tribute the spheres without having to tribute 3 like this guy. But like I said, you could play the queen. I don't think she's really that great. Anyways, we're playing 1 Ogdoadic Dark Alret. He's important for the combo. He's later, but yeah, you tribute a monster to summon him, and then Your opponent can add a monster from their graveyard to your hand, which if you're going first, it doesn't really matter unless they've hand trapped you. And then you get to return 2 of your banished monsters, including Reptile, to the graveyard. So it doesn't have to be both reptiles. So if for whatever reason you wanted to put the Aleister back, you could. But yeah, that's pretty good. And he's level 8, which is really nice. And he himself doesn't get banished or anything. So once he goes to grave, you can do this again the next turn, which is really nice. And then we have the Ogdoadic Light. I think his name's Curse. I don't know. We'll see. He's also level 8. He's the light counterpart to this guy, light and dark. So you contribute a monster and summon himself, and then you summon a level 4 lower Ogdoadic from your graveyard, but it gets banished when it leaves the field, and then your opponent can special summon a monster from the graveyard. But like I said, if you're going first, it doesn't really matter unless they've hand trapped you, and even then you're going to make a Dragoon, so you can pop the hand trap at the end of it if it really matters. And he's also level 8, so it's cool. He's part of the combo. This is the interesting thing, the Masked Chameleon. This is what you send off of the Water Lily. And it's a level 4 tuner, and you use that with, it's usually the Ogdoadic Remnant here, to make this Geomathmic Magma, which is a level 8 tuner synchro monster, which is what you need, well, tuner monster, is what you need to make the Bishbaalkin. So that's why he's here. It's funny enough, he's not actually a brick, because if you open him and Nunu and nothing else, that's actually a really, really good combo. So it means that you can send something else off the Water Lily, but then still summon him back off the Water Lily. So he's only really a brick if you get to use Aleister. But if you don't have Aleister and you have Nunu, this thing's actually really good. And then we have one Zoha. He's only here because he helps fix your hand. Basically what he does is if he's in your graveyard, you can send a card from your hand to the graveyard, and he can add himself back to hand. So what you can do, for example, say you open the Deity, or the Overlord, plus Nunu, plus no other cards you can work with. Well, Nunu sends itself to send a Dark Reptile from your deck to grave. And or is it Reptile or Ogdoadic? Yeah, Dark Reptile. So you send, what you do is you send Zoha, and then Zoha sends whatever reptiles in your hand that you can't normal summon to add himself back, and then you normal Zoha, Nunu summons himself, and you get your whole play started, and you'll have exactly enough reptiles in grave for the Water Lily. So he's very important. He has another effect which you're probably never going to use, where if he's sent from field to graveyard, or special summon from the graveyard, you get to, your opponent draws a card, and then you add an Ogdoadic monster from your deck to your hand, and then each player sends a card from their hand to the graveyard, but you don't really want your opponent to draw a card unless Aaron's on the field, which going first, that's probably not going to be set up too easily. Then we have Aleister. I don't need to explain him. We have Aleister. I'm playing 2 Invocation. I like it in case they imperm the Aleister. And then Meltdown. No terraforming. You could probably fit it, but I don't know what you would take out, to be honest. Yeah. And then these are the most important Ogdoadics. We have Nauya Remnant, I don't know how you say his name. So it has the effect where you send it from hand to grave, and then you send 1 light reptile monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then if this thing's normal or special, you add 1 Ogdoadic spell or trap. So you usually use him to send Curse, and then when he's summoned back off of Curse, you search the Water Lily. And then reversely, we have Nunu, which I keep talking about, has the same thing, except it sends a dark reptile. And then if you control no monsters, or you only control Ogdoadic monsters, you can special summon it from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. And then while it's on the field off of this effect, you can only summon reptiles. But that's easy, we just overlay for King of the Feral Imps, and we're no longer locked out. And it doesn't get banished, which is nice. So yeah, they're the most important. You can kind of combo with Naya plus like Aleister. It's not as good. He's the worst one to like combo with, but he's there. Then we have the, like I said, we have the Gammas to go with the driver. I talked about the Brotar. You summon the Brotar off of the Guard Dragons, which you'll see, and then that searches your Levianeer. Also, it's very good recovery later, because if something gets destroyed, he can bring himself back and search something. We have the Rise Fusion to go with the bricks. We have Snake Rain. Discard 1 card, send 4 reptile monsters from your deck to your graveyard. This plus Aleister and a discard is combo all by itself, whether you have Nunu or not. So that's really good, because you just send Nunu, Naya, Dark, and Curse, and then if you already have one of these, you just get to send the Aaron instead, or like Zoha, which is nice, or even the Masked Chameleon if you really want to. We have 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, because we were at 39, and it was either this or Terraforming, and I figured I probably want a main deck way to deal with back row, because there's really no extra deck ways either besides the Dengirsu. So yeah, there that is. The Water Lily, it's the only Abyss, or not Abyss, the only Ogdoadic spell and trap we're playing. You send a reptile from your deck to the graveyard, so it's Foolish Burial. That's cool. And then if you have 5 or more reptile monsters with different names, you get to special summon 1 reptile from your graveyard. It doesn't have to be the same one you sent. So that's why if you open Mass Chameleon plus Nunu, it doesn't really matter, because then you just get to send like the Aaron that you're missing, which is really nice, and then you just get to summon the Mass Chameleon back. And then we're playing 3 Dark Ruler, because going second, we don't want to deal with Windows or Dragon Link boards or any of that stuff. So there you go. You can replace this with Ash, more back row removal, droplets, anything you want. I'm just playing Dark Ruler. It's easy. Just play it. It gives us a going first. It's not super horrible because we can send it off of Zoha. We can discard it off of Brotar. We can use it with Mechaba to negate a spell, which is kind of nice. Or just discard it off Dragoon. So there that is. Then we have the 2 invocations, like I said. 1 Call by the Grave, because we don't want this getting ashed. We don't want our stuff getting DD crowed or any of that stuff. Lancia doesn't really matter, I don't think. I'm pretty sure Lancia... The only thing Lancia screws up is the Levianeer, but that's not that big of a deal. And then the 3 Meltdowns. And extra deck, we have the 1 Mechaba, the 1 Purgatrio. I would fit more, but the extra deck is really tight. You could cut the rank 8 and play another Invoked Fusion or play another Link Monster. That's about the only thing you could get rid of. And then we have the Dragoon, because we want to end on... Before it was ending on, like, Spheres plus the Aaron plus Mechaba, which just didn't seem that great. So I think it's worth it to run the bricks to play the Dragoon. And then Purgatrio is really nice, because we're not playing Ash, but we have this Geomath mech, so on the following turn, after they've played through our board, if they broke it or whatever, we can normal Aleister, and we actually have access to a fire monster to make Purgatrio, which is really, really nice. Anyway, speaking of him, he actually has a really good effect, too, where if he destroys a monster by battle, you can target up to 2 cards your opponent controls and destroy them. And then if he's destroyed, you search a Math Mech spell or trap, but that's never going to happen. So he's actually, like, against, like, a back row deck, you could beat over something they have, maybe. Or, like, one of the tokens you give him with Bishbaalkin. You could, like, maybe bring him back somehow with Levianeer or something like that. Beat over it and then blow up some back row. I don't know. You can figure it out. And then we have this guy, Bishbaalkin. He gets way more broken in the not Lightning Overdrive, but the set after that when there's like the Alien Link monster, which we'll go over that eventually. Not in this video. But he's still pretty broken now, so you have to synchro summon him by sending 2 level 8 or higher monsters that are the same level, and one of them has to be a tuner and one has to be a non-tuner. So that's why we have to make the Geomath mech, because he's a tuner, and we use him with usually Curse, but I mean technically any of these level 8s will work. And then what he does is he can't be destroyed by card effects, so I guess they can't ghost over him, I guess. And then so he gains 1,000 attack for each monster on the field. That's okay, I guess. The main thing though is once per turn during either player's main phase, you can special summon the same number of I'm not even gonna pronounce that, but some kind of tokens. They're level 1 Dark Fiends, 0 attack, 0 defense, on each player's field and defense, so as to summon as many as possible, and then he can't attack for the rest of the turn. So what you do is you usually have Mechaba sitting over to the left or whatever, and then you summon him in the extra monster zone, and then you summon 4 tokens, and you give your opponent 4 tokens. Or, if you don't get the Aleister engine going, and you just do the Snake engine, then you get 5 tokens, and your opponent gets 5 tokens. So, he's really, really good, and then you start doing nonsense that we'll get to in a second. I'm playing Dingirsu, that's my 1 rank 8. You could play really any rank 8. You could play Hope Harbinger. That Sky Prison, I actually do like him. I'm thinking about maybe playing him instead, because against certain decks, you could use him, and then even if they Dark Ruler you, it still kind of shuts off their turn. So that's an option, but I do kind of like the Dingirsu, because it gives us nice removal, and it gives us some protection. And then we have King of the Feral Imps. I really wish I could play a second of him, because he's just really, really good. But there's no room. And what he does, he just takes 2 level 4 monsters. He's a reptile, so that's how we unlock ourselves from Nunu's restrictions. And then you just detach and you add a reptile monster. So what you usually do is you usually add Nayu. If you already have Nayu, you probably just add something you don't have already, like maybe Zoha or something. That's it for the XE monsters. I wish I could play more. Like, I wish I could play a Zeus, but that's not happening here. Next, we have the Link monsters. Skulldread's probably the least important Link monster. But he's also really important, because there's some hands where you actually need to make the Saryuja to be able to unlock yourself from the Pisty. And that comes up a lot more when you side deck in these 2 things, which we'll go over. But he's just very helpful. And he helps you draw cards, so you can try and draw into your side deck cards, which is nice. We have Reprodocus, which is what we do with Bishbaalkin in 1 token, and we make it into Reprodocus, and then Reprodocus turns a token under him into a dragon. So we have a level 4 lower dragon. I wonder where that's going. You can also change attributes, but that's probably not happening. He just takes 2 monsters. Then we have Cross Sheep. This, you only use this if you get the invoked part of the deck going. If you don't get the invoked part of the deck, you obviously don't get to use this. But it just helps you, it brings a monster back when you fusion summon under it, so that's really nice. It helps you do your whole combo part, and then you usually tribute it off for Alrit, or for Curse, either one. And then we have Verte. This is here for the Dragoon. Just takes 2 effect monsters. Keep that in mind. Sometimes you can mess yourself up and tribute something other than like the last token you have left, and then you can't make Verte, or you have to use something important to make Verte. So keep that in mind. Effect monsters. And there's no room to fit Link Kribo, so forget about that. Then we have the Protector Whelp with the Destruction Swordsman. This is important in the Guard Dragon combo. Also, since it can just send the Buster Lock, I decided to throw the Buster Lock and the Leviathan, which I will show you the combo for that at the very end. You can side this in going first, alongside probably these I would recommend. And you can extra lock your opponent with Verte and the King, and then if you opened Aleister, you have Mechaba. So that's pretty cool. And then we have the Spheres. You could end on this if your hand was weird, but you're mainly using this to tribute it off with Aaron, and then it summons the Darkest Diabolos from the deck, which is really nice. And then lastly, we have the 2 Guard Dragons. I don't need to explain them. Then the side deck, I mean, you just play whatever you want. I'm playing 2 Nibiru, Lancia, Pankratops, Cosmic Cyclone. This could be Twin Twister. Evenly matched. You could throw a Red Reboot in here. I'm playing these, though, because if you go first, this helps stop Dark Ruler and Dropless, which is really important. And then I'm trying this because I thought it was kind of funny, and you can combo really well with it. And since you're siding it, and if you go first in like the first game and you do this and you don't send the Whelp, they're not really going to expect it. And then like later on in like game 2 or 3, you can pull this off and they'll be a little surprised. The only thing is this guy's kind of a brick, so that kind of sucks. And I mean, I guess this is too technically. But yeah, that's the side deck. That's the deck in general. It's a very interesting take, I guess, on the Invoked, because I've seen a lot of people do the Guard Dragon stuff, but not with the Invoked stuff. So I figured out how to fit it all in. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see you in just a second with combos. Okay, we're just going to start with the most busted combo off the bat. So it's Snake Rain plus Aleister. This is the easiest way to do it. You just go Snake Rain, and then just 3 random cards. You do have to discard a card. This one actually leaves you with less cards, I think, than the Nunu one. We'll see when we get to it, just because of the Snake Rain discard. Funny enough, this isn't once per turn, so if they ash it and these last 2 cards are Snake Rain and another card, I guess you can technically do it again. So from here, you're going to send these guys. So you send those 4. Make sure you do Nunu first, because if you normal the Aleister, you no longer can use the Nunu's Grave effect. So that is very important. You go Aleister. If they hand trap the Aleister here, at this point, all that's stopping is the Mechaba. It's not stopping any of the other stuff. But the Mechaba is nice because it kind of gives you a little insurance. You can't make it before Nibiru, but you can make it and force the Nibiru out and then go from there. So that's nice. And then next you're going to make your King of the Ferret Imps because you are locked into reptiles. I like to detach the Aleister here. It doesn't matter too much, but in case for whatever reason they have like Imperm plus DD Crow as some weird combination or something where you can't get the King of the Ferret Imps off the field, at least you can make the Mechaba. So from here we're actually going to search Aaron, which seems weird, but it's going to give us a free discard off of the Brotar. Now, you only really have to do this when you open the Snake Rain combo. The Nunu combo, you don't really do this. So right there, we get the Aaron. And then from here, we're going to use Curse to tribute the King of the Ferret Imps. And then that's going to bring out our Naya. I'm never going to say their names right. And then this is going to get the Water Lily. If you already had the Water Lily, cool, you have an extra Water Lily for next turn. I wish they had another option that was good for spells and traps. So from here, you could go the Cross Sheep. Now you have to pay close attention to how many snakes you have in your grave. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we activate this Water Lily, it's going to put 5 down there. Now, if you wanted to, you could make the Mechaba now. You'd have to banish one of the lights, and then you'd have to. You know what? I don't think you actually can make the Mechaba now. We're not going to try it because I don't want to do another take of this. So you send the Mass Chameleon. Make sure you send Mass Chameleon, and then summon Mass Chameleon. If they want Nibiru at this point, okay. You're still going to have Mechaba, and then there's a few other things you can do. So you go Aleister. I like to just banish the curse, because we're going to be adding it back to the graveyard pretty soon here. Also, you have if they do decide to like Nibiru right here for some reason, you have the Aaron, which is nice. From here, I'm just going to use Invocation, put the Aleister back in hand, just get that over with. And then we're going to use Alrit to get rid of the Cross Sheep. Make sure you get rid of the Cross Sheep because you need to put the Bishbaalkin in the extra monster zone, or else you're going to get less tokens than you would. So this puts them all back. So now you have after all of this, you're going to have a whole loaded graveyard to do a bunch of crap next turn too. So from here, you just Synchro into the Math Mech. There he is. Like I said, you have a full loaded graveyard of reptiles, plus you have a fire for Purgatrio, which is really nice. So from here you make Bishbaalkin. Make sure he goes up here in the extra monster zone. So at this point, like the Mechaba is going to protect the Bishbaalkin if they've let you get to this point without Nibiruing you for whatever reason. So here you just make all the tokens you want. It doesn't really matter where you put the tokens on their side of the field, but for argument's sake, I'm just going to not put one across from here. And then from here, this is where zoning gets really important. You have to use Bishbaalkin, and you cannot use the one under Bishbaalkin. And you also have to be careful where the Mechaba is. You have to do all of this on the opposite side you put the Mechaba. So in that case, we're going to use Bishbaalkin. I'm going to use this one. So here we go. We have Reaper-Docus. So now make sure you use Reaper-Docus's effect to change that into a dragon. So now that is a level 1 dragon token. So we're going to turn it into Elpie. Now we are locked into dragons, so therefore we're going to make the Whelp with Reaper-Docus and then use the token that's next to Elpie, because you're going to need to put the Pisty there at some point. And then put the Companion Whelp above the Elpie. So now we have the Elpie zones. Like I said, if they wanted to hand trap you here, you have the Mechaba, which is nice. So from here, we're going to go Brotar. And good old Brotar is going to discard our Aaron for us. It doesn't matter which one you target. You're getting a Dark Dragon either way. And we're going to get our Levianeer. And now Aaron's in the discard pile, which is very important. Discard pile. I'm not playing Pokemon. Graveyard. This is Graveyard. So from here, we'll make Pisty just to get some more Link materials on field. Bring back the Brotar. And we're going to unlock ourselves from the dragons. Now, we could draw some cards. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could draw some cards, but we're just going to do spheres. So from here, we're just going to go Aaron, tributing these spheres, and I'm going to do the token so we don't mess ourselves up with Verte. And then it doesn't really matter where you put the Aaron, so we're just going to put them right there. The spheres is going to go off. We're going to get our Darkest Diabolos. We're going to go ahead and use his effect. Doesn't actually matter which one you tribute at this point, because whichever one you don't is just going to get used up for like a Link summon. So we're just going to use the Diabolos. And it's making me pick, but let's say we just put that on top, whatever. And then from here, I like to just banish the 2 guard dragons and the Bishbaalkin. And we get to rip a card out of their hand. Now, reversely, if you wanted to, you could have tributed the Protector Whelp, and then you would have had plenty of lights in your graveyard, and you could have, instead of ripping a card out of their hand, you could have added a rank 8 on top of all of this. So there is some merit to that. And then you use Diabolos to tribute the token instead of himself, and then you use Levianeer plus whatever. You use Levianeer and the, what's his name, Darkest Diabolos to make the rank 8, and then you use Brotar and whatever the Levineer brings back to make the Verte. But we're not going to do that. We're going to rip 2 cards out of their hands because I don't think we really need to make the rank 8 here. And then from here, we're going to make Verte. We're kind of just leaving the Levineer here, which is a little sad, but whatever. And then from here, we just go copy our Red Eyes Fusion. Now, unfortunately, Aaron has an effect where if a monster your opponent controls is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you get to add a lighter dark reptile from your deck or graveyard to hand. Unfortunately, the tokens don't count because they don't actually go to the graveyard. That would have been really nice if you could have just gone this and then get a free search off of that. But you don't, which is annoying. But if Dragoon negates a monster on the field during their turn and destroys it, then Aaron gets to search, which is pretty nice. See, they have 2 tokens. You have Aleister plus 2 random cards still left in your hand. You have this Levineer just kind of sitting there, which is unfortunate. Like I said, you could have a rank 8 here if you gave up on ripping card out of their hand, but you've taken 2 cards out of their hand, so the odds of them having a Dark Ruler is lowered. And then you have a negate, and then another way to send a card. If they try and search anything, you get to send a card, which is nice. And if you, assuming you don't die, you have Brotar down here for recovery. You have Diabolos can technically come back for recovery. You have the whole Abyss engine down here still. Plus, if you don't have to get rid of the Aleister, you have Purgatrio to try and kill them with, which is really nice. So, yeah, that's the first combo. That's just the Snake Rain combo. There's probably ways to refine it, I'm sure. But this is what I came up with for now. Like I said, you could add a rank 8 onto this. I don't know. Adding a Dingirsu onto this doesn't really make much of a difference, I don't think. But maybe the Sky Prison dude added onto this does make a difference. So maybe that's better than the 1 card. That's up for you to decide. Next, we're going to do Aleister plus Nunu. Okay, we got Aleister plus Nunu now. It's going to be a little different than Snake Rain, but obviously Snake Rain's the most busted one to open with. We almost normaled Aleister. Don't do that. Don't normal Aleister. Do this first. And then we're going to normal the Aleister. And like I said in the other combo, whether they negate this Aleister or not, as long as they're not like gamma-ing it, it doesn't really matter. Because all you really need is a level 4 monster to overlay with. This just happens to be a very good level 4 monster that gives us a negate on the board. So, but like I said, if they Ash Blossom the Aleister, it's like not the end of the world. If anything, this is what they should Ash Blossom here. So we're going to attach the Aleister just in case they do Ash Blossom there. And then we're going to add our Naya. I think I'm saying that right. Naya. I'm just going to assume it's Naya. Then from there, we're going to go Naya. And send our curse. And then from there, we're going to tribute the King of the Feral Imps. And bring back our Naya. And this is where we're going to get our Water Lily. And from there, we make our Cross Sheep. And we go ahead and activate our Water Lily before forgetting. Get our Masked Chameleon onto the field. So what a lot of invoked Ogdoadic decks do here is they use this to get a level 4 that's not Masked Chameleon. And then they usually make that Rika XC, which is good, but I feel like ripping cards out of their hand is a little better than just having another negate, because everyone's like maining Dark Ruler and stuff right now. So being able to rip those cards out of their hand potentially, I think is very important. At least for this deck. Yes, Alrith. Let me not lose my train of thought and mess up here. Put these back, and then you're replacing the Omni Negate of the rank 9 tree thing with the Aaron King, which just rips more cards out of their hand. We make the Geomathematic. Let's go ahead and add our Aleister back in case they did have like a Nibiru. Probably want to do that. Like I said, I don't think they'd wait this long to Nibiru. They'd do it before the Mecha book came out, I would think. But you never know. And then, like I said, this deck gets a lot better when the Alien Link comes out, because then you can like really abuse this Bishbaalkin thing and have a really nasty end board where you're basically skill draining all their monsters, which is pretty nice. Let's see here. Let me make sure I don't lose my train of thought again. So remember, the zoning is the same whether you open Nunu or Snake Rain. You gotta make sure you do this right. Change type. Don't want to go too fast here and mess myself up and have to redo this again. I did one take where I messed up and I activated the invocation too soon. So we're going to do LP. And from here we're going to make our good friend the Protector Whelp. And then we're going to go Brotar. So unfortunately you don't have the Aaron in hand for the Brotar this time around. But that's okay. Let's search our Levianeer. Then from here we go Pisty. Now we don't have anything to tribute the spheres off of in this combo, so we're not going to make the spheres. At least not right away. We're going to do Skuldred with 1, 2, 3, 4. So this could draw us into like something. Nothing. Woohoo! All right. We're gonna put all those back. That's what happens when you have it not shuffle. So from here, if you drew a monster, you can have Saryuja summon it if you really, really want. But what we're gonna do is since it'd only be ripping one card anyways, we're just gonna make spheres, and we're gonna banish a light, and a light, and a light. And we're gonna bring back, well, we bring back, it doesn't really matter. We'll bring back the King of the Feral Imps for the fun of it. And then make our Verte. So it's not quite the same as if you open Snake Rain, obviously, because Snake Rain just does all your work for you. But you still technically have... You have technically a better interruption than the Aaron, you just didn't rip any cards out of their hands. If you're wondering what this Spheres is going to summon when it gets tributed on your opponent's turn, you're going to summon the Darkest Diabolos. Also, this combo drew you a bunch of cards. Ignore what it drew me, because the deck doesn't shuffle on this setting, but in theory you could draw like the Deity and summon him, or you could just draw the Aaron and summon him. So the Saryuja draw could very much change a lot of what happens here. And there you go. This is not as good, like I said, but you draw more cards instead of taking cards away from your opponent, and you technically have a better interruption than the Aaron King. So this is where you could make the argument that the more traditional Invoked Ogdoadic combo is a little better when you have Aleister plus Nunu. So there's that. I'm going to show you what you do if you side in the Buster Lock. Okay, this is the Snake Rain thing again. It's going to look exactly the same until we get to the Buster Lock part. So we're just going to go Snake Rain. These guys, so I don't mess up. And then we go... You can also do the Buster Lock combo with Nunu, but for the sake of how long this is going to be, I'm not going to do the Nunu one. Because there's still one more combo I want to show you at the end of all this. So we'll go here. I just figured might as well, if I'm going to show the side decked one, I might as well show it with the best possible outcome. And then from here, same thing, we're just going to add the Aaron. And we're going to use our curse. There you are. Almost clicked the wrong one there. Get our Water Lily. The nice thing too, if you already open another Water Lily, if you end up using Saryuja, you can always use that as just a free thing to put at the bottom of your deck, which is kind of nice. Let's go make our sheep. Hello, sheep. Let's go snake lily. Or water lily, whatever. I really still wish they were called Abyss. I thought that was a way better name. But I usually don't like the punny names that Konami does, but I actually really did like this one. I was really hoping that this would be Abyss. But they are not, unfortunately. Also, I keep forgetting to mention, when you banish for the invocation, don't ever banish the Nunu, because that's the only level 4 you're going to have down there to summon back off the cross sheep. So that's why I'm always banishing Curse, in case you're wondering. So we're going to go invocation, put the Aleister back. This one is going to use Saryuja. So if you did use the Saryuja to draw, you maybe want to wait on putting the Aleister back so you don't draw another invocation, but it's not that big of a deal. Then from here, we're going to go Alrit. Get back our whole snake engine. There we go. And then we're going to go the Geomath mech. And then from there, you've seen all this. I don't have to explain this to you, I don't think, anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright. Let's go Reprodocus and not mess it up. Go real fast here because you've already seen this. Dragon. Okay, so here's where it's gonna get different right now. So we're still gonna make the Buster Whelp thing. Protector Whelp, whatever it's called. But here's where it gets to activate its effect, where you get to send the... What's his name? There he is. Send him to grave. So that's one difference. And the second difference is we're not getting Levianeer. We're getting Levitin. Haha, close. So Levitin gets to summon the Buster Whelp. And then the Whelp gets to summon itself. Now you have to be very careful here, because you need to get the Levitin in the graveyard so you can bring it back off of LP. But you also need to make sure LP has the right zones, which you can't move with the Levitin. So this is where the Saryuja actually is important. So from here, we're going to go Saryuja with 1, 2, and 3. Now you could do this if you really want to and draw. Or you could just do the 3 and get the summon. We're going to do the draw. Oh, look at that. We drew those again. I wonder why. So we put those all on the bottom. Now from here, you can just summon your king. And there he is. And we go Pisty. Either here or here, doesn't matter. And then you bring back the Levitin. And then the Levitin is going to equip the Buster Lock. And then from there, we make these spheres. There you go. There you have it. There is a way, if you were able to get the Aaron into the discard earlier, you could actually make the spheres and then use that to summon Brotar and then still get the Levianeer and then make Verte. But we didn't have that, at least not right away. So, yeah. But here it is. So you have Buster Locked them, you have the spheres bounce, you have the Aaron, you have the Mechaba. And yeah, if you had one extender, like maybe you drew into the Levianeer, you could, or maybe you drew into the Brotar even, you could summon it off of the Saryuja, and then you could have a Verte on top of all of this. But you do get to save the Verte for next turn, which is nice. They get to keep all their tokens, and they don't lose any cards, but they are Buster Locked. There probably is a way to do this a little better, but this is it. Alright, I will show you the last combo, which will not involve Aleister. I know it's sad, but there it is. Okay, so this last combo is Nunu plus specific Reptile. So it's Nunu plus either Aaron, Masked Chameleon, Naya, let's see what else, Zoha, or or Curse and Outright. You can technically do this with the Overlord, but the end board's not that great unless you get really lucky off the Saryuja. So, therefore, we're going to try it with Aaron. But like I said, the best one's actually Mass Chameleon, strangely enough. Mass Chameleon actually makes the best end board off of just Nunu plus Reptile. So, Zoha works pretty well too. But for this purpose, we're going to show off Zoha a little bit by having one of the big ones in our hand. In this case, we're going to have Aaron. Because unfortunately, because we have to start with Nunu, we can't just search the Aaron for the Brotar to discard like we would with Snake Rain. Obviously, Snake Rain by itself can do this whole thing, but better. So Nunu's going to send Zoha before I mess up. Because we need something to normal summon. And then make sure you get rid of the Aaron or whatever reptile you're going to get rid of. Because you need that extra reptile in your grave for the Water Lily. Or else you're going to be one short. So we're going to go here. We're going to make our King of the Feral Imps. And then we're going to detach one of these. The reason why you're always one short is because you don't make the Cross Sheep in this combo, obviously, because you don't have Aleister. So you don't get to link the curse back into the graveyard, which kind of causes an issue with your numbers here. So you get Naya. Now Naya has to send the curse. Like I said, you could have Curse or Alred already in your hand, and Zoha would fix that too. It doesn't really matter. The only one that doesn't really work is another copy of Nunu, or the Overlord kind of works, but not nearly as good. And then, like I said, strangely enough, Mass Chameleon's like really good to normal summon if you have Nunu and nothing else. So we're gonna get back our Naya. I'm not going to show you that combo, though, because this is already really long. I just think it's funny that if you don't open Aleister, your second best normal summon with Nunu is Mass Chameleon. Weirdly. So from here, count them, we have 4. So this is where we go, Water Lily. I'm going to send our Mass Chameleon. We're going to use Alright, but not for a little bit. So there we go. We're going to make our Geomath mech. There he is. Then we're going to make our Bishbaalkin. Woo! And then, obviously, when that alien stuff comes out, this Bishbaalkin play gets immensely better. You just have to do a lot of different things, and I'm not sure if the Invoked package still fits within all that, because you kind of need some... You kind of need synchros. Well, we'll see. I'll show that on a different day. We're not going to show that today. That's a whole nother can of worms. Let's go Reaperdocus. Change type to Dragon. Gonna make LP. And I forgot to take the extra deck lock out of here before doing this combo, so we're going to pretend like they're not there, so we're not going to activate that effect. As you can see, they're still there. We're pretending they're not there. So we're going to go Brotar. Brotar's going to get our Levianeer. It doesn't matter which one we target. Going to get our Levianeer. And then from here, we want to make our Pisty. Bring back the Brotar. And we're going to make these spheres here. Now we're going to do Aaron. Going to tribute these spheres. And I think a token. And then spheres is going to get us our Darkest Diabolos. Now let's see here. I'll make sure I don't mess anything up for you guys. So from there, we're going to tribute a token, I think. Place something on the bottom. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3 for Levianeer. And he's going to get another card out of their hand. And then from here, we make Verte. And then we make our rank 8. This is where that Sky Prison or Hope Harbinger would probably be better because the Dingirsu's not really doing too much. It is getting rid of a token, which is kind of nice. So basically what you end up trading out is you trade the Aleister for a rank 8. Or, I mean, another link too, if you want to put like if you could fit IP in like the goddess thing in here, you could actually even do that. Which wouldn't be that bad. But there you have it. And then your grave, I'm pretty sure, is still loaded. You're just missing Naya, which is a little unfortunate. But you still have Curse and Nunu and Zoha. And you still have the whole Invoked engine still in your deck, so you could draw into that. Like I said, you have the Invoked plus Cross Sheep plus Saryuja, so you could go somewhere with that. You have the Diabolo still in play, the Aaron still in play. And there you go. Strangely enough, that's what you can do if you don't open the Aleister. So it's not all dependent on Aleister. Aleister just helps give the end board a little more oomph to it. So there you go. Like I said, Masked Chameleon's probably the best one. Masked Chameleon and Aaron are like the best two to get off of this. Masked Chameleon, Aaron, or Alrit are the three best ones you could have in your hand with Nunu if you don't have Aleister. Alrit's probably the worst of the three, just because he's just kind of sitting there, whereas Aaron actually is technically going to do something on your opponent's turn, hopefully. But there you have it. Like I said, you could maybe, if you wanted to just cut the Invoked altogether, that's 1, 2, 3 extra deck spots. That could be like IP plus Nightmare Unicorn or that Goddess thing. So instead of the rank 8, you could end on that. So that's something to think about if you just want to cut the entire Invoked stuff altogether and just maybe go like more of a Chaos Ogdoadic deck. But yeah, I'll see you back on the deck in just a second. Alrighty, there you have it. There's the Ogdoadic Invoked Bishbaalkin Dragon Link thing. Like I said at the end of the last combo, you actually probably could cut the Invoked engine and just play maybe more Chaos stuff or just play more hand traps, just because it is actually like just like I said, normaling Masked Chameleon with Nunu or like Snake Rain is actually really, really good. So like it doesn't actually have to be Aleister, it just has to be a level 4 monster, and you have to have enough reptiles. So there that is, take what you will with it. The alien thing is very good, but that's for a different video, I think, because that takes a whole different look than this. So there you have it. I'm gonna mess around with this basically until the alien link comes out, and then I'm gonna probably have to change things up. But I really do like the whole taking the cards out of their hand thing, so I'm definitely gonna keep that, and I'm gonna try and work on the alien thing so I can show you guys. Hopefully I can get it to work where you still take the cards out of their hand and make the whole alien play, which is really nice. But yeah, I'm rambling, so snakes. Like, subscribe if you liked this stuff. There'll be more than just Ogdoadics later. Scrap Raptors coming out soon. We might have to get some live duels with that. My locals is going to be opening up kind of soon, so we can get some local videos, I guess. See if I can beat people up with this and Scrap Raptor in real life. And yeah, that's about it. We're not going to do the Scoop Phase episode still, because I think that's done. But we're going to do these little things and see how it goes. And maybe try more live stuff. So I'll see you guys next time.